Okay.
We're back on. We're back on the air. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
look at that.
Oh, we're gonna have to splice the show. Where I was going with the super fan. A shout out to super fan Melissa. Bill, we're not going to discuss the Golden Globe nominations because you don't care and I don't care. Okay, there you go.
Okay, chuck that
I'm sure
tweet
she's
out.
like, she's raising her. She's just kind of like, ugh, rolling her eyes right now. Um, also, briefly, we saw that Kevin Hart, based on some statements he made, some homophobic statements he made a while, some time ago, is no longer going to be hosting the Oscars, the Academy Awards.
Right.
Any thoughts on that?
The whole thing of calling for companies to vet people that they're going to hire to do jobs is stronger than ever. Why don't you just do some research before you offer somebody a job?
So there's a difference then here because Kevin Hart, I think I saw the article, is the second highest paid actor of 2018. Jerry Seinfeld
For
beat him
what,
out by.
Jumanji?
Well, he does a lot of different things, but he made $54 million last year.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Right. Yeah. So apparently it's not any, he's got another movie coming out called The Upside. It doesn't seem like it's affected anything else that he does, but apparently the Oscars was a bridge too far.
Apparently.
Okay. So for award shows, you're saying that they need to be vetted more, not necessarily for the movies.
I think this should be vetted for everything. But, I
Oh,
mean, when you're going to have somebody do a hosting job where it's kind of like the most prestigious award in Hollywood, that seems like something you might want to do a little extra diligence for. I mean, I don't know. That's just my thought.
Seth MacFarlane said that the Academy Awards gig is very difficult
I'm
and
sure it is,
and that it's not for everyone.
right?
So, and apparently, I saw a little tidbit here that the last time that there was no MC for the Oscars was 1988.
Right. Because that's the
And
option that they're banning about is that they're just not going to have a host.
and when I did some research on this whole thing back in 1988, they had a musical number, which was with Snow White and Rob Lowe. Do you remember that?
I do not.
Okay, you should pull it up, like the opening show of Snow White and
Did you
Rob
watch it?
Lowe. I did. It was 11 minutes, and I watched it because they were talking about how the guy that came up with the show was Alan Carr,
Right.
the director of Grease,
Right.
and apparently it was such a disaster that like he never got another gig after that. That's the story.
Really?
That's a
Huh.
story. Like they were just like, this is so crappy. Even
Well,
though you
what did you think of it when you watched it?
I don't know if it was as bad as everybody else made it out to be, but it was cringeworthy, and I thought it. But it was a musical opening. But Rob Lowe singing and dancing around and cavorting just seemed kind of bad because I don't think Rob Lowe is Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
So I just I couldn't see it. It's like me going up there trying to sing. Stay in your lane.
Okay.
I didn't care for it, but you know, what else are you gonna do?
Well, I mean,
Hooray for
they could
Hollywood!
maybe vet a host that would be somebody that hasn't tweeted some offensive shit to people of any minority population. They could try
Oh,
that.
oh, the Twitter brings down so many people. It brings down
Yes, and the thing
so
about it
many
is,
people.
they bring down themselves. You don't need to bring people. You don't need to spread nasty lies and rumors and innuendos about people. It's in their own handwriting.
Oh, oh.
It's just dumb, 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 dumb.
Okay. All right. So Kevin Hart has apologized. Um. Anyway, I guess that doesn't make a difference right now. We're gonna have a
Well,
vote
because your thought is that how long does this person have to pay for these comments that he's made, like several years ago or
Well, I, I,
whatever?
I mean, in all honesty, Kevin Hart did come out with a statement, and I know you said some of the things he said were just really beyond the pale a little bit, and I get that. But I did have to admit that there was part of me after reading over his one statement saying, people grow, change, and mature. And I sat there and I go, well, that's true. At some point in time, you sit there and go, well, what I did 20 years ago, that was wrong. And I know it was wrong, and I'm a better person. I can't take it back, but I've grown. You just haven't seen me grow. All you just saw was the comment, and you're applying it to me now, several years later.
And
And
what I
so,
didn't also see was you saying, I'm sorry if my comments offended somebody. It wasn't my intention or whatever, 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 until you got a job in which it was basically you apologize or you're not getting the job. It seems disingenuous to me.
uh, I don't have time to go back through all my Twitters, my tweets, Bill. I don't have time to go through and sanitize them
You
all.
know what would make it not have to have you suck up time with going back through all your tweets and having to
Not,
delete them?
not
If
writing
you
it in the
didn't
first.
write them in the first place. That would be an idea. I'm not saying that man isn't entitled to his personal feelings. I have some that are quite controversial myself. What
Absolutely.
I don't do about it is tweet them for the whole world to have record of me saying this, that, or the other. Now you can play a recording of it maybe,
Listen, this is
but
exactly why we don't do popular cinema podcasts after dark. That's why we don't do it.
right. Because I'm just saying, I don't know that the
Technically, I
whole
guess maybe
idea.
if we did PCP after dark, we might turn this place into like Infowars or Rush Limbaugh. We might end up actually getting the following. We could be like
I
Diamond and Silk.
Right. I'm just saying, I don't know. It just seems like people are their own worst enemies anymore. I don't understand it.
All right. Well, here's a bit of positive news here. Now, I know you're going to take this in a certain way here, but I need you to be open minded because this is very cool.
Oh, is this what you were alluding to before the show started? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. There's going to be a couple films opening at the 2019 Sundance Film Festival. And one of the films that will be opening the festival is directed by Rashid Johnson, and it's going to be called Native Son, um, written by Susan Laurie Parks. And it's a retelling of Richard Wright's classic novel about a young African man named Bigger Thomas who takes a job working for a highly influential Chicago family, a decision that will change the course of his life forever. This was actually filmed in Cleveland earlier in 2018, obviously creating a lot of jobs. But the point of this show here is, I'm sure Superfan Melissa, she may be one of the few of us that actually gets out to Sundance. Um, Rashid Johnson is our own PCP Bill's nephew.
I can't believe you went there.
Listen, that's just so fucking cool. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You have something out there. You have a nephew, whatever else, that's actually directing a film that's going to be one of the films opening Sundance. I mean,
Yeah,
you
it's
actually
in
have some street
competition.
cred. You have some street cred. Usually, you're just
Uh,
probably some sort of like old man ranting from like your trailer park or something else like that. But you
uh,
actually have like some stock in you. Like, oh, you know.
really. Um. So yeah.
So we're gonna have to watch Native Son then. I know you
Uh,
don't do the indie films, but we're gonna have to watch Native Son,
yeah,
right?
that's fine. Okay. It's in competition. That doesn't mean it's going to win anything, but I mean, it's going to be probably high profile part of the Sundance Film Festival, I imagine. Who knows? Maybe it will lead to Rashid one day directing Black Panther 3. I don't know. It could be anything, right? For right now, that's all we know.
Yeah. So congratulations out to your nephew. And by the way, having him direct Black Panther 3 might be good. Will that take away Chadwick Boseman's ridiculous accent?
I don't think so because I think Chad is kind of proud of that accent,
I
actually.
read the article that you sent me where it said that some of the producers and other people in the brass were not happy with his choice of dialect.
Well, at least we know it wasn't just us. That's good to know because with the whole talk of Black Panther being nominated for Best Picture Oscar this year, which I'm pretty sure it will probably get a nomination. And they're riding the wave of the success that it's ridden. Speaking ill of it on any level is kind of like a social no-no. faux pas, kind of like you just
Right.
say,
Right.
anything bad about
What
it.
do you mean you're not down with Black Panther, Bill?
Right.
What are you? Some racist
But
hater?
but one of my biggest concerns or one of my biggest flaws of the movie was that accent that Chadwick Boseman tried to pull off, and I just don't buy. And to hear that the producers of the movie were like, what are you doing? Is also kind of interesting to know.
Yeah, yeah. He's proud as punch for coming up with this whole thing. Um. Anyway, I know
Even
there's a
though it
lot of
sounds like he
people
has a stick up his butt.
who feel differently about it, but it's overthinking it. Isn't it the same thing we talked about before with Halle Berry doing the accent in the X-Men movies, and then she just ended up dropping it altogether?
It's different. Halle Berry had like 3 lines in X Men, and Chadwick Boseman carries basically the whole movie.
Yeah.
So it's a little different because she didn't really have that much to do in X Men.
No, no, I didn't think
And
about
also,
this.
no
Wait a
one was
second. Let me
screaming.
ask you this: for Black Panther, do any of the other actors and actresses within Wakanda talk like T'Challa?
I think they all pretty much have accents. Yeah. So no,
Are
not
they
necessarily.
consistent? Are they consistent?
They're consistent, but to me, they sound more natural. And I think their speech patterns sound less choppy and less
Right.
like they're reading off a cue card. And to
He
me,
had to
it's more
focus too
believable.
much on trying to create his language, his avatar language over there. He's having a hard time speaking it. He doesn't flow off of his tongue correctly.
Right,
He should have picked a dialect or whatever else tones that he can somehow just rattle off without having to look like he has to think for every word.
right. Now, I will say in Infinity War, it did sound to me like he had some more time to practice and it was less jarring for me to listen to his accent in Infinity War. I felt like he did seem more natural. Now, maybe that's because that was the second time he was playing the part. He was more comfortable in the skin or more comfortable with the dialect or whatever. I just hope it, if Black Panther survives the snapping, that it continues down that path versus going back to the way it was in Black Panther, which is not a fan. I'm not a fan of.
Okay. All right. Other news: Bill and I will be seeing Glass in 17 days. What is
What?
the runtime for Glass?
I don't know. I think it's 2 hours, but I'm not sure. I don't know that that's been
Okay,
locked
so
in
at
yet.
one point there was discussed that there was 3 hours and 10 minutes out there, but M Night has come out and he doesn't like his movies to be long, and he's going to get this bad boy down to 2 hours.
That's the way he usually does it. Yeah.
Okay. I will point out that Glass is my most anticipated movie of 2019. I'm going to be getting that out of the way in less than 2 weeks. Then I can
Mine
add it
too.
to the list. I
Shock.
think that's going to be outstanding. All right. Also, it is the 25th anniversary of Steven Spielberg's Schindler's List. Schindler's List came out in 1993.
That's just
Um,
ridiculous.
what's that?
That just is ridiculous that it's so old. I can't believe it's that old.
Doesn't seem like it would be that
No, it
old, does
really
it?
doesn't. It really doesn't.
Once again, I am sad to say that I still have not watched it, but it is in my
It's
Netflix
probably
queue.
available on Netflix discs, right?
It's in my instant queue, Bill. Like
Oh, is it on Instant?
it's right next to Beast of No Nation. Okay.
I think you should probably put Schindler's List higher.
Well, I believe I am because I'm reading the article with Steven Spielberg saying how that his movie he finds it to be in today's time more relevant than ever. And he said in a quote that I don't know the Holocaust in color, but I've seen documentaries on the Holocaust. They're all shot in black and white. That's my only reference point, and I wanted it to feel real. He also talked about the red coat. He also said that, well, let me just read it. In Thomas Kennelly's book, Schindler couldn't get over the fact that a little girl was walking during the liquidation of Krakow ghetto. While everyone was being put on trucks or shot in the street, one little girl in a red coat was being ignored by the SS. To Stephen, he said that the scene came to symbolize world leaders turning a blind eye to industrialized murder. To me, quote, that meant that Roosevelt and Eisenhower and probably Stalin and Churchill knew about the Holocaust and did nothing to stop it. it was almost as though the Holocaust itself was wearing red. And so he says that this movie is the movie he's most proudest of, Schindler's List.
I can see that being, it's part of his heritage and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, anyway, so after seeing that was the 25th anniversary and reading over his thoughts on it, it's kind of shot it up that I've got to try to knock this out over the next couple months.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, if Schindler's List came out today, I probably wouldn't see it because it's heavy, and I'm not into heavy anymore.
Well,
Not
which is probably why I have not, um, watched it because I haven't been in the right space to kind of put that on. You know.
right. So it's not to say that it's not a quality film. It is very quality, and it does make you feel stuff. It just depends on, you know, how much patience you have with that kind of.
Sure. Hey, it's New Year's Eve. You want to throw on Schindler's List? Yeah. It's either that or Bird Box. Which one you want to go with? Let's just go with Bird Box, please.
Right.
Um,
Right.
all right. So we're not going to get into Aquaman because we're going to. Well,
Or not.
we're going to discuss Aquaman a little bit later. But Aquaman is doing bonzo at the box office. So DC looks like it's back on track. The DCEU, maybe. So I hear that they have a couple more heroes coming to the forefront. What is this I hear of Plastic Man, Bill? Is that true? Not true.
I believe that they confirmed that they're in development on a Plastic Man movie. Yes. So we'll go with true.
I read up on Plastic Man, and apparently he came out in 1941, and I think he was like a criminal. And as with all stories, he was trying to escape, and his buddies left him behind, and he fell into a vat of chemicals, and then was able to kind of like morph his body around. And so he was nursed back to health by some sort of priest or monk or something else like that. So he decided to fight crime and turn over a new leaf.
Are you there? Okay. I lost you
Uh,
for a second, but go ahead.
yeah. Are you interested in a Plastic Man movie?
This is such a loaded question for me
Well,
because
is it all? What is it? The tide raises all boats. You know, this is
I don't. I don't want to knock DC while they're just finally getting up on their game after being knocked down so far with the financial disappointment of Justice League and the critical disappointment of Justice League. But I do want to say that even me, who's hardcore DCU fanatic and love their universe as they've developed it so far, have to question why we're getting a Plastic Man movie, but yet we somehow can't come up with a Man of Steel 2. Why we're getting a Birds of Prey movie, why we're getting a Elseworlds Joker movie, and it doesn't seem like some of the bigger characters are on firm footing yet. It's a mystery to me, except to say, low risk, low reward, and maybe they're in a low tide mode right now where they've just got burned with some of their bigger financial risks, or at the time wouldn't have been seen as risks, but did turn out to be risky. And so now they're trying to go back and just slowly rebuild their universe with smaller pictures, with lower budgets, and hopefully at some point, once they get their confidence back with stuff like Aquaman, which is going to help to build that confidence back for them, and Wonder Woman 84, that eventually down the line they'll get some ball sacks back and decide to do Man of Steel 2 and continue on with Batman with Ben Affleck. Thank you. Best Batman ever. Thank you. And we'll continue, with Henry Cavill in the role. But I think right now we're kind of in a, I don't want to say holding pattern, but in a like low risk pattern for DC. And that's not something for me to look forward to as a fan, really. So no, I'm not super down with Plastic Man. Okay.
I think that I feel as though that they're going to revisit all these things. I know that information is coming out there, but I think cooler heads will prevail at one point, and I think Shazam will be one of those things that they sit there and they might rethink some things. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that they're going to have another come to Jesus meeting and change directions again.
Because you think Shazam is going to be a failure.
I don't think Shazam is going to do well, and I think that there's going to be some sort of flack, or somebody's going to step up and say, "I don't know why we're doing these other projects, and we need to start focusing back on Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and going back to our big icon characters."
For
Uh,
every step forward the DC takes, they end up having to take 2 steps backwards. This is the same exact position they were in when they did Green Lantern, and that turned out to be a financial disappointment. And then Zack Snyder went on an interview and said, I don't understand why we're doing a DC universe with Green Lantern first, when everybody knows Superman should be the first superhero you come out with in any kind of universe for a motion picture version of the DC comics. And that made sense to me. And then, Batman versus Superman happened, which was a critical disaster, financial disappointment as well. And so now you have them taking 2 steps backwards with this whole smaller hero story stuff. I just wish they could get like on some firm footing. I think I'm really happy that Aquaman's done so well. I like the movie a lot. It's probably in my top 3 DC EU movies. Probably, I would say I would rank it above Wonder Woman in any case, for sure. And if this is the kind of quality that they're going to give me going forward, I'm happy with that. I just want them to continue doing the characters that I want to see, and not make these like characters that really no one's going to be invested in.
okay. Um, Will Smith, Aladdin, released the first, I guess, picture of Will Smith as Aladdin,
As the
on the
genie,
cover Entertainment Weekly.
right?
Aladdin is, as you have mentioned before, one of the first movies. The Robin Williams animated Disney version was the first movie you and your husband went to see.
Was her first
Uh,
date?
First date. Thank you. And so now you actually have the live action coming out, and they just dropped the picture as Will Smith as the Robin Williams character. What were your thoughts? Did you like it? Are you excited for it? Is it cool?
I am excited for Aladdin. As you know, I have sentimental value with this movie. I like the live action version so far that they've done of Beauty and the Beast. So I want these to continue. I think it would be better if Will Smith, and he has gone on record saying that his skin will be colored blue, like the original cartoon in the movie.
So are they going to do like some sort of like what do I want to say? A CGI blue over him? Or are they going to put like blue makeup on him?
Well, all the pictures I've seen so far don't show him in any blue makeup, and they don't have the tracking dots that usually is present on actors who do motion capture for CGI. So I don't know if he's blowing smoke up in people's asses just to quell the controversy or what, but I certainly hope, in my opinion, that the genie needs to be fucking blue, and I hope he ends up blue in the movie. The picture of Will Smith, I can see Will Smith doing justice to this role. He is a strong comedic actor. Comedy is something he's done in the past and has met some success with. Uh, the other characters that are cast, in basically unknown actors that are ethnically appropriate across the board. So,
You mean Scarlett Johansson is not playing Jasmine?
no, she's not. So, as far as that controversy goes, I think they went the right direction as far as people being able to accept newbies in the role. I'm looking forward to it. My biggest question mark with this movie is the fact that Guy Ritchie is the director, and I've seen Guy Ritchie movies, and everything I've seen out of Guy Ritchie is the exact opposite of what I think of when I think of a Disney movie musical. So I don't know. Guy Ritchie has pulled off some iffy things in the past couple of years. I don't think that Knights of the Round Table movie he did was very successful.
Arthur, yeah, I find that Guy Ritchie, if you look at his oeuvre, he consistently does sort of the same type of thing. Like his director's what do you call it? His technique, how he does things, it's very unique.
It's
Um,
I would say
he's got a stamp that's recognizable, and he carries that throughout most of his films.
right.
And
I think they're similar to Quentin Tarantino's style in which they are edgy and use interesting or unique camera techniques and story beats. And it's just not what I think of when I think of a Disney musical.
He likes it to be a little bit like overcast and gray in most of his films. They're
Yeah.
always a little bit washed out.
Yeah, no, we've
Um,
seen the trailer for Aladdin and it did not look washed out or gray or overcast. So I mean, from what I've seen, which is like 30 seconds of footage so far, so good. Again, my question is more not necessarily with his cinematography, but more of like the style of the film itself. I just feel like he has a very distinctive style that doesn't mesh well with Disney musical.
Snatch beats Aladdin.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna roll.
It's gonna be very interesting for him because this could be a new turn for him because some of his other stuff that he's been doing lately has not been successful.
Right.
So let's see if he can actually do something else that's
Did he direct the Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr.?
yeah, yeah, he
Okay.
did.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. I wasn't a
It's,
fan of that either. But
oh, it was interesting, but it wore out fairly quickly. But anyway,
I think they're doing another one.
are they? Oh,
I
that's
think
shocking.
so.
Okay, this is a shout out for Superfan Melissa's husbands.
Husbands, how many she got?
I know that's hilarious. Downton Abbey is going to be a movie set to drop in 2020. I don't watch Downton Abbey. Do you?
I do not.
Any interest in watching Downton Abbey?
No, none
None.
whatsoever.
Okay, yeah, I figured that's the point. You were going to say that right there. The Hellboy trailer was released. Did you see the Hellboy trailer?
I did. I haven't gone back and watched it multiple times like I do some of them, but I mean, I have a little bit of an attitude with the whole reboot of Hellboy anyway, because I think that Guillermo del Toro kind of got robbed, and so did Ron Perlman. But they're insisting on doing it, so it's done. So it exists. It's not something I can just ignore. So it's in my wheelhouse. So I'll probably have to see it.
Um, the trailer, they got rid of what's his name, Ron Perlman, and put in David Harper to play the role of Hellboy. I saw the trailer. It seems like they kind of diversified the whole cast in terms of who's rolling with Hellboy, and it seemed like a movie that I don't know why you just can keep the original director and Ron Perlman. I didn't find anything to kind of stand out for me that would differentiate from the other movies.
Oh, I
Besides,
did. I think the makeup looks like shit on Hellboy.
really,
My opinion, yes. The face makeup. Now, the body makeup looks like, how bad can you fuck that up? But the face, I think, doesn't look nearly as good as Ron Perlman's version.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's a budgetary issue or a stylistic choice that they made to purposely go away from what the Hellboy looked like in the other version. But I'm not a particular fan of it as I've seen it so far.
Now the movie's supposed to be directed by Neil Marshall, which was one of my favorite directors, but I have to admit the trailer did not seem like something like this seems enticing to me. So
I like the end when he comes out of like that pit with like the fiery crown and all that. That looks visually interesting. But the rest of the trailer looked like it could have been, a Netflix movie. It didn't look like they spent a whole lot of money on it, but
yeah.
you could
Okay.
sort of see the seams.
Let's just go with the most second anticipated movie of 2019. Everybody knows it. The Avenger Force trailer was released.
The Avenger what? Avenger 4. Okay.
I'm sorry, Endgame. How about
Thank you.
What Avengers Endgame?
Proper respect, bitch. Proper respect.
All right.
The Endgame. We have not discussed this yet?
Nope.
Really?
Last time we had the show was December 2nd, Bill.
When did the trailer drop?
I don't know. After December
2nd. Okay. So the Endgame trailer looks. I think it looks good. I think, for people that say, oh, it doesn't really seem all that exciting. Well, I think they're trying to keep you away from a lot. Like anyone who thinks that Endgame isn't going to be like the blowout of the year, I think is deluding themselves. If you continue on frankly, my personal feeling is that Infinity War is the movie that Black Panther is turning out to be. What I mean by that is I think Infinity War is somehow underappreciated and Black Panther is overappreciated. The movie of the year for me was Infinity War, and I think it's Marvel's masterpiece. And for them to continue that story on an Endgame is only going to make it even more so. And I can't speak enough about like how much I want to see this movie.
Um, the
And this
trailer
trailer did not dissuade me from that.
the trailer starts off strong with some sort of emotion and pathos with Robert Downey talking to the helmet and talking about Pepper Potts and how this is the end for him. It's all very like, oh yeah, it's hitting on certain levels. It's got some layers there. And then it kind of fades off for me and ends with a little bit of a comedic scene. I know superfan Nadia enjoyed the Ant-Man, hey, it's me. Remember me, Ant-Man scene. Um, I
Don't you
think you're
remember the one phrase from Lord of the Rings that I will never forget, and that always and it applies here to me is even
yes.
the smallest creature
Sure.
can change the course of the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't need my hero to be Jeremy Renner or Ant-Man.
Ugh.
Okay, I'm not
So
nuts.
there was a finally a little preview of the return of Hawkeye, which was cool for those
Yeah.
of us who like Hawkeye and think where the hell was Hawkeye in Infinity War. We know he'll be back.
Yeah. My Avengers movie doesn't need to end with somehow Ant-Man and or Ronin slash Hawkeye saving the day. Okay, I started off with Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. I don't need somebody else stepping up to the game like some sort of like Jimmy Olsen type character. I'm just that's not a story I'm fascinated or care about. It's weak sauce. So when he does the
I
turnaround,
hope,
show that
I
he's still
hope,
alive,
I
I
hope
don't
that
sit there
Ant-Man.
and go like this. Oh my goodness, it's Hawkeye because Hawkeye has never been that powerful to begin with. So it's not like when he turns around, you're going to sit there and be like, it's on. Now, obviously,
No,
if the Hulk turns around and gives a look, because you're just like the Hulk is badass. So if
but
he turns,
you're missing the point of why that scene is crucial in the trailer. The point of why that scene is important is because he was not anywhere in Infinity War. He's a original Avenger, and he's one of the six that are left standing alive after the snap. So, yeah, for people who are following the story of all of those six original characters, there is an investment in his viability or survival that he might be able to help them get through what's happened. I know you don't give a shit, but I think some people do.
um, I hear, I think you told me that Avengers Endgame is going to be coming in at 3 hours and 20 minutes.
That's what the Russos said. The Russos went on record and said at this point in their editing phase, they are clocking in at around 3 hours, and they think it might end up being like close to that as a final cut. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yeah, I'm
I,
all for it.
that screams epic. It just screams
Yeah.
so epic. 3 hours and 20 minutes. Is there going to be an intermission like the Hateful Eight? We're going to have to like,
Wow.
let's go to
No,
the
you're just gonna have to
lobby.
bring empty bottle of water so you can piss into it because we're not leaving the screening. And by the way, make sure one on that list I sent you of all the 7 movies that we're going to be seeing this year that you note that Thursday night showing is what we're reserving for Infinity War because I can't wait till Friday.
Thursday night showing. Is that in Columbus or is that up here?
Let me pull up my list. Thursday night is in Columbus. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, you're gonna have to pull a sick day.
Okay. All right. Let's put that on record. Oh, Ferg Pete in his diaper again.
Well, that's what they're for, right?
Yeah, it's just so gross. Oh, it just stinks. Oh
How
man.
does it stink through a diaper? You can
He's
smell
got
that through
some
the
sort of
diaper?
like he's got some sort of like nuclear pee.
Does he have
Nuclear.
like alien pee?
Yeah, it's weird. Whatever his body, he's just a weird dog. I think he might be a product of like inbreeding, and that's why he has the issues that he
Really?
has. But
It's
oh,
not a product. It's not a product of the fact that he's 127 years old.
no, I may have to go bathe him later. But let's move on. So
Okay.
Avengers 4, that's going to be great. All right, next thing on the list here that I have, just as a side note, I know nobody cares, but I'm a Die Hard fan. They're going to be doing a Die Hard 6, but they're not going to call it Die Hard 6. They're just going to call it McClane. And before, I thought they were just going to do an adventure with his son, but apparently they're actually going to do Bruce Willis as a young 20-year-old and also have him as a old Bruce Willis in the movie. It's like
So they're gonna
it's like
de-age Bruce Willis with the
well, I
CG?
don't know if they're gonna. I'm not sure how they're gonna do it. I guess that's what they would have to do, but I guess it's sort of like a Die Hard prequel, but and a flashback. I'm
But
not
you're
sure.
down, right? Because Die Hard is like one of your favorite series.
Yeah, they have the guy. I think his name is Len Wiseman. He did
Len
Live
Wiseman, yeah,
Free or Die Hard with Timmy Oliphant in there.
yeah.
He's going to be directing it. I'm a Die Hard fan. I watched them all, at least for the Die Hard 1 and 2. 3 got too racial for me. It was kind of annoying, but I still liked it.
What was
Uh,
racial about it?
this was the character played by Samuel Jackson, Zeus up in
Right.
Harlem, and the shtick between the two of them was, I can't stand white people, and Bruce Willis was like, I haven't done anything to you, and every time Bruce Willis said something like, can you please move over, and he'd be like this, you're telling me to move over because I'm black. That was the whole movie with him being the oversensitive black male through it,
Really?
and it was kind of just annoying to me after a while, this whole racial stick. It just
Okay.
kind of just, you know, it's just it was just too much for me, and I could
Okay.
use it. Samuel Jackson is fine, but I just didn't care for the role.
Okay.
It's and then the rest after that are very much forgettable. But I like Timothy Oliphant and Live Free or Die Hard. But
Okay.
um, so that's out there for the Die Hard fans. So, Bill, I saw Venom,
Yeah.
and I ended up liking the movie more than I thought it would, and that, um,
I'm gonna pull one of your numbers. Of course you did. Yeah, because you're a
but
simpleton.
I I liked it because it was just kind of it was basic, but I kind of like the basicness of it. But there is a huge gap here. Now, when I say liked it, it's kind of like on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it like a 6 or 7. Okay, it's not
Really?
great, but I don't know if I expected it to be great. There's the bones that can be something in there, but there's huge problems with it, and the one is I don't understand the motivation of Venom. Um, I felt like the writers kind of glossed over that, and I just can't get past that because if he's going to be a hero, I need more than. By the way, I bonded with Tom Hardy's character for like 2 minutes. Now I've changed my mind, and now I'm going to be good. It seems I need more than that. I need more like Tom Hardy doing like several heroic things, and the character goes, "I got to be like you." But whatever. Also, I just don't know if I can see the direction where this character can go since he bites off heads and he swears and he's like Deadpool, which I'm not a fan of that character. So I don't know where you go with this. When you start eating people, it kind of limits your opportunities. Like the police are going to want to arrest you. That's you're going to be brought up on charges.
He's an outlaw, but he's a badass. I guess it's kind of like you said. It's Deadpool. It's the Deadpool school of superhero, where you're really more of an anti-hero than a hero, but audiences love you because you're so against the grain. Um,
What did you say? So counter. It's so counter.
yeah, it's so counter. It's so not Superman, and I think people, I guess, find some appeal in that. Because we're getting a Deadpool 2, but we're still waiting on Man of Steel 2. I'm not bitter. Um, but so yeah, you know what? There were some effects in there that were well done as far as like the CG of the Venom costume. It looked good. My
Yes.
biggest problem is that there was just no investment in the characters outside of when Venom wasn't possessing his body. Like I don't know why I give a shit about Eddie Brock or why he has what his problems are. I don't really care about any of the characters in that movie other than Venom. And so that really reduces my investment in the outcome of the story because I'm not there with like wanting these characters to I don't know who to root for,
I don't
you know.
disagree with you on that. I don't disagree with you.
I don't think they even made an attempt to make any kind of character development, which is unfortunate for me because I do want to find something about this character that I can latch onto and say, this is why I want this character to succeed or to prosper or what have you. Um, so for me, it was like you're always complaining about all my other movies that I like. It was just all flash and no substance,
Mm.
and I just didn't really find a lot of enjoyment in it.
They did it after credit scene, and where they're showing where they possibly could be going, where they were introducing a symbiote by the name of Carnage, played by Woody Harrelson. Um, while I like the scenes that kind of give you a teaser for where they might be going, the teaser for where they might be going with Woody Harrelson is not a place where I want to go. It seemed like it would harken back into me the days where Jim Carrey played the Riddler. I can't differentiate Woody Harrelson from anything else, and I wish they would just go with the unknown actor instead of always trying to sometimes shoehorn these well-known actors into these roles, like what's his name as Rhino, Paul Giamatti,
Giamatti.
yeah, as Rhino. I'm just not really sure I need these guys trying to take a turn as these characters. Find somebody else. But anyway, I'm
I
not
mean, the
impressed.
man's just trying to earn a living. He's got to be penalized because they hired him for a part.
Yeah. I'm penalizing the casting people, the directors, and the producers for not like going someplace else with this because
Okay.
I'm not going to see, oh my God, it's Woody Harrelson. I'm going to see like Carnage do some Carnage stuff, not Woody Harrelson like do a Johnny Depp shtick. And that's what I feel like. It's a Johnny Depp shtick. And, you know, how weird can I be in this role or how like kooky can I be? Not a fan. Anyway, let's move on. We saw also Spider. I mean, well, we'll get there. Aquaman. We didn't talk about that, Bill. But how about you give me your 2 minute, 3 minute review of Aquaman?
I mean, we touched on it. I think it was very enjoyable. Like I said, I think of the DCEU movies, it's in my top three. It's above Wonder Woman. It's above Suicide Squad, but I would say it's below Justice League for me, and below BVS, and below Man of Steel. So it's probably in the middle of the pack for me, maybe lower towards the lower end of the pack. Um, but there were some very interesting creative things in there as far as visuals go with the world that they painted of the Atlantis and the Atlantean people. Um, it did feel there were times when it felt very epic. Also, though, there were some comedy things in there that I think did not work. There was a lot of comedy in there that I felt was very forced and unnatural and just did not, when I compare it to the other DC movies that have comedy elements in them. We went back and watched Justice League the next night after we saw that, and there was a lot of comedy elements in Justice League that I always did like, but even like more when I compare them to some of the sophomoric humor that they try to apply in Aquaman. Um, I think Jason Momoa is quite well um, attached to the part. I think because for me, I felt like he got the short end of the stick in Justice League as far as like the investment of the storyline wasn't very centered on him, and so he became my least favorite character in Justice League. But he really has a screen presence and really fits the suit, if you will, in Aquaman. And they made me a believer in the casting of him in that part in this movie. So I liked it quite a bit. I'm looking forward to Aquaman 2. And eventually, hopefully, they'll eventually get back to a Justice League where we can have them all back on the same team again.
Um, I found the movie to be a lot more enjoyable than I expected it would be, and that one of my favorite characters was King Orm, played by Patrick Wilson, Aquaman's half brother.
Right?
And I can tell you that shit was just a badass. I found Patrick Wilson's character to be fascinating. You know, I seem to gravitate towards the villains anyway. But Jason Momoa's role as Aquaman actually was quite good. It's starting to grow on me and embracing the role. I think the biggest problem I have in the film is probably like the first half of it seemed like it flew by fairly quickly. It was intense. It was well paced. It had some cool scenes, some cool like shots by the director. I'm very impressed. And then it seemed like there was a second half of the movie where they focused on some sort of like witty banter between Aquaman, Mira, the love interest, and some other things. And as you said in your quick review, that the comedy was a little bit off. It was a little bit off, and it kind of took away from things. But it's a strong entry, and I think it's reflected by how well it's doing at the theaters.
Some of the action scenes, I think, and the whole film itself, it's over 2 hours. It's 2 hours and 23 minutes long. It's one of the longer films that does not feel like you're sitting. There's no like lull of storyline. I mean, there's constantly like battle after battle after battle, and that's not a negative for me. That's actually a positive because I really felt like that 2.5 hours flew by. Um, and it didn't feel like it was bogged down in scenes that were unnecessary. I felt like all of the action beats were, timed appropriately to keep you invested in what was happening on screen.
Sure, you were engaged throughout the
Yeah,
whole movie.
you really did. It really kept you like on the edge of your seat, if you will.
Once again, I don't want to have to throw some mud in the face of it, but in no universe should your Aquaman be longer than your Justice League movie. FYI. FYI to the people that run the show. Shouldn't happen.
Well, they gave James Wan more leeway than they gave Zack Snyder. So
it's run by idiots, Bill. Run by idiots.
The same idiots that gave you Aquaman are the same idiots that gave you Justice League. So, I mean, they're maybe they're learning something. Maybe they're not as idiotic as they were last year, in your opinion. But the other thing I wanted to mention was some of the, we always talk about this when they do like this, they stick the superhero landing scenes. There were quite a few of those at the end battle between Orm and Aquaman that I just absolutely loved because they looked like they were ripped right off the cover of a comic book. I love that. I just love the superheroicness of superhero movies. And there was just a lot of those in there.
I can't agree with you. I don't know. I like to see more Patrick Wilson go against Jason Momoa.
Well, they didn't kill him off, so it's always, it's out there.
Oh, he's too cool of a villain to kill off.
Yeah, and they didn't kill off Black Manta either, which is of the two villains, you would think they would have killed at least one of them in a standard.
Well, if they're going to kill somebody, it should have been Black Manta. They always kill off black characters anyway, so I'm not sure.
But they didn't. That's my point. So they're changing the tide for you. Doesn't that feel good?
No, because what they need to do is they need to expand him more to where he's not just growling everything like, I need to kill Aquaman.
When your costume is as badass as Black Manta's, you can growl all the way through the movie for me.
Is that the costume he built from Atlantean technology within like 5 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. Sure.
Well, they did all the work for him. It's just like he got a like paint by numbers model supervillain kit. And all he had to do was like spray paint like the car and put like the extra stuff on it.
Learn how to fire the beams, create the sure. Okay.
I mean, it was already 2 hours and 23 minutes. Would you have preferred another 20 minutes for them to explain how he learns the technology of the suit too?
No, not at all. We also saw, which will probably be, I don't know, arguably maybe my top 10 movies of 2018. Might be. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Damn! Now, I read Nadia's review. Superfan Nadia sent over her review.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it over, and I was going to write you back, but I figured we'd do the show. I love the fucking film. I thought it was just great. I wasn't expecting it. I was on the edge of my seat. As she pointed out, there were some deaths in there. There was a lot of comedy in there. All the characters, I was interested. I thought for sure when I walked in, I thought this was going to be some sort of just stereotypical, boy from the hood. I was thinking all these things, and I came out pleasantly surprised where I'm like, I want to see more of this. And in fact, what I don't do at the end normally with you, what you do all the time, I was bumping the soundtrack when I left Columbus. I was bumping the soundtrack to the Spider-Verse because I was like, this shit is good. It's good. Anyway.
Well, I hate to rain on you and Nadia's parade, but this movie was not of my particular favorites of the year. Um, in fact, I'm going to give it the ultimate Bill thumbs down. I won't be buying the Blu-ray.
Uh, as President
Um,
Dum says, hate is no hate.
I mean,
Hate is
I
no
went
hate.
into as I go into every movie, I went into it with an open mind, thinking, there had been already a lot of praise for it, and people are loving this movie, and audiences are not responding as much as the critics, I think, on it, but it's not a bomb for sure. Um, but I guess the issue for me with animated superhero movies, and I don't know why this is just a particular idiosyncrasy of mine, it just feels like when they're animated, there's just no weight to it. And by that, I mean the physics don't have to make any kind of sense. There doesn't have to be any kind of like attempt at some kind of realism as far as like the contortions that the human body could actually be able to get into. It just felt like a Saturday morning cartoon for me. And I know that that's sacrilege because I know what people are saying about this movie is the farthest thing from it. But I was antsy after like the first 20 minutes of the movie. I felt all the other Spider-Men were underdeveloped. I felt that there was not necessarily a need to have a Spider Ham in there. I know that's directly from a comic, but I don't find that character was necessary to the telling of the story. I just didn't feel it. I gotta tell you, I don't know why. I just didn't feel it.
Well,
So,
is there any chance we're going to get a Spider-Verse too?
oh yeah, they're already making it. They're like filming it now. In fact, Sony has already patented the animation technique that they were using to make this movie. So I'm sure there'll be a second one. You might
Excellent.
have you might
Superfan
have to hit.
Nadia, I'll be flying down Florida, get your husband and the rest of the kids, and we'll go see the movie and have a good
I
time.
was gonna say you and Superfan Nadia might have to go on your own because I think I'm out. So
Oh, well, that's disappointing, Bill. I
well,
mean,
you can't win them all.
um, yeah, I was just, I laughed. I was nervous. The characters were fresh. And if they did some real things in there, you're dealing with Peter Parker going through a divorce. You had some deaths of his
Yeah,
uncle.
I don't
I mean,
know. Do
there
I
were
need
things
that?
that were explored that you normally wouldn't even see in just a regular live action movie, and it touched upon some things, and you're just like, cool.
Yeah, Spider Gwen with the buzzed haircut, Spider Man Noir or Spider Man Black, whatever you want to call it, spouting out every cliche from every gumshoe detective movie from the 1940s that there ever was.
Yeah, that's his character. It's his
Is
character.
that do you know that for a fact, or are you just saying that? Like, have you read a Spider-Man movie comic that had Spider-Man Noir in it, and he does speak like that in the book?
Yes,
Okay,
the same thing as with what's his name. Um, what's his name? Porker Ham, Ham Porker,
Spider Ham.
Spider Ham.
Yeah.
You know, pulling
So
out
he's like the Howard the Duck. Okay, I get the shtick. I just don't care for it. I mean, that little anime girl with the robot.
Look, I find it to be role reversal because some of this times you can watch Big Hero 6 and you'll be like this, wee, I love
Yeah,
this stuff. And I'd be like, this is just absolutely ridiculous and stupid. I've got no time for this. Now it's
right.
Spider Verse, and you're just like, not really feeling the Spider Ham. Not feeling the Spider Ham.
Yeah, I just didn't really. Did you like Spider Ham? You usually hate comedy like that,
Oh no, I'm not a fan of stuff like that. But
but you like Spider Ham.
but I find that the weight of everything else and the coolness of Miles Morales, as well as his family, and with the father trying to bond with the son, I found all that to kind of like resonate
Okay.
on a whole different level. And it was one of those things that didn't make it so like this story could be for anyone, not just a specific group or something else like that. And I think that's what I really felt like they did a nice job of it. So
So it comes down to the fact that Miles Morales was a black superhero for you,
I
and that
think he's
helps
black
out.
and Hispanic, by the way. But yes,
Well,
well, no,
like
well, no.
like Bill or like
What it comes down to it for me is that they what is the word subvert my expectations because my assumption is that they don't know how to do that. Like they're going to make Miles Morales, well, if he's going to be black and Hispanic, that he's probably going to eat chitlins and listen to this or like that. do some sort of shuck and jive type of thing over there because that's what they
Yeah,
do.
because that's exactly what Spawn did. I mean, Spawn was just like sucking down the chitlins in the movie Spawn.
Right.
And he was just like, bring me more ribs.
Right.
Bring
So what
them
I found is Miles Morales, they just made him just a kid, which is what I say that they should do for all these movies. You don't have to focus on race per se. Just focus on being a good character and just put them in a position, and then everything else will work out. I think
I'm
soon
going
as
to
you
tell you,
start,
like Art Perlmutter said, there is only one Spider-Man, and his name is Peter Parker. That's all I have to say.
whatever. All right. So I think that's all I have here, unless we just want to get into. Do you want to just call it a day and get into Box Office Mojo? You want to drop some other 2 cents on some stuff?
I don't think that there's any. I mean,
Well,
you
I
know, it's been
mean,
kind of a
Penny
slow.
Penny Marshall did die. I
Yeah,
mean, we
Penny
should
Marshall
go.
died. That was sad.
Yeah. I
I
never
wanted to
saw
tell
her
you that.
movie Awakenings with Robin Williams. I never saw Awakenings. Did you?
Really? I may have seen it when it first came out, but it's been a long, long time.
Okay. And then
Um,
obviously I saw Big and A League of Your Own, which is what
right.
he's known for.
I did want to mention that Captain Marvel has a new trailer that's coming out next Monday Night Football. So I think that's going to be the same equivalent of when they did the same thing last year for Black Panther. It's like the final TV extended spot, but it's more like a trailer than a TV spot. It's like an hour, a minute and 30 seconds. And the tickets are probably going to drop then too. So,
Okay. So you really don't need to be watching that, right?
oh, I want to watch the trailer because honestly, the Black Panther trailer last year, the one that they did at the football game, was my favorite trailer of all of them. I haven't really been in love with all of the trailers that they've done for Captain Marvel yet either, so I'm hoping this one will get me more
So
into
you're
the
forced
movie.
to watch it because you're just like, I need you to kind of get me hyped up for this.
Yeah, I need something more than what I've gotten for the hype. Yeah.
Is there a
So
chance that they'll somehow have Brie Larson talk like she actually has a pair and has power, or is she still going to be like this? I was feels like this power that's running through my body is something like I was meant to be. Is she going to be talking like that the whole time?
how dare you? She is the most powerful character from Kevin Feige's mouth in the entire MCU.
Yeah, I think the most powerful character is Captain Marvel of Jude Law, but we're not going to get that movie because all you people are now woke. So but that's fine.
It's funny to hear you say woke though. Did you see the
That's
Stranger
fine.
Things trailer and poster dropped?
What poster?
Stranger Things last night,
Yeah, I saw that they dropped the poster as to when it also might be coming out. When
July 4th.
July 4th? Yeah. Um, I didn't even really click on it anymore. I find with Netflix they're not they're giving advance notice maybe on their big shows, but some of these things when I just go to my Netflix, it's just there. Like new show, new movie.
Well, sure. That's they know that you people out there who are paying for their service are content whores, and so they have to constantly drop shit, or you're going to be like, I might be able to live without Netflix. Oh no! Slap some shit up there. Put up some foreign anime. They'll be happy.
So you did watch Stranger Things season 2, right?
Yes,
And you enjoyed it more than season 1.
I did.
Okay, so you're in for 3. That's no
Yeah.
question.
It can take the place of Titans for me, which, by the way, we didn't get to, but I'm out.
So you watched the last episode, episode 11?
Yeah.
Now,
Bored.
no, wait. Now, did I not tell you how I felt about it? It doesn't always we always don't line up.
Yeah,
but
you're still having patience with it enough to say you're still in.
Did your husband was your husband bored?
He likes the show. It's one of his favorite shows. I have to tell you, I'm out.
Didn't it feel like a waste of time?
Yes, I know so much of this show does seem like a waste of time.
If it's an hour episode, 58 minutes of it is a dream sequence.
Right. I don't have time for this. And here's the real problem for me.
Which has nothing to do with anything, to be quite honest with you. It's 58 minutes of, it could be slop. It bears nothing on it except the fact is he's now possessed or whatever else.
Right, which they could have done in like 30 seconds. They could have taken that whole scene at the end from the previous episode where he bum rushes the house and then giving you the last 2 minutes of this episode where he's got the black shit coming out of his eyes and you'd still get the point.
Yes.
But no, you have a whole hour of some like alternate world in his brain where Batman goes around killing people and he has to stop Batman and he's with Dawn and I
And I
can't.
and I feel like this is Walking Dead nonsense, and I know Walking Dead is not the origin of this, but I feel like it's a cheap bait and switch of going like, oh, bye, it's Batman going bad and rogue and killing people, and really it's a dream sequence, and I find that as a consumer, I want to be intrigued, but I don't want to be misled.
I want to enjoy this show. I didn't spend 11 hours watching this show so that I could go like this at the end of the 11 hours. That was a waste of 11 hours of my life. No, I did not, but that's how I feel. And the other
But
part
see, the
about it,
advertisement before that is to get you hyped up of going like, oh man, what's going on with this Batman thing here, and it's
right,
false.
right. And the other thing, my big problem with this, the story kind of sucks in a lot of elements. Um, but my biggest problem with the show is that it's fucking ugly to look at. It's ugly. It's dark and murky, and you can barely tell what the fuck is going on because there's no lights on, and there's like constantly like shadows and clouds and fog, and it's like they're visually trying to convey to you that they're gritty and they're hardcore. And also, by the way, every other word they say in any context of any conversation between any two characters will always, you can guarantee yourself, at least include at least four fucks in the episode. Okay? I don't need this. This seems like false, and they're putting on airs to try to make the show something it's not organically supposed to be. And I'm not enjoying it. And I have to come to the grip with the reality of, do I want to see more of this story? And the honest answer is, if it's more of what I've gotten, then the answer is no, I don't.
Well, I'm going to stay in it, but I find that these shows that are 10 or 11 episodes, seem to be having the same trouble of maybe starting off strong, but losing steam in the middle and just actually crawling to the finish line. And I don't know what's going on, but if you really just can't be strong for 1 through 10, then maybe go back to the drawing board and make each episode just as strong as the first 2 or 3 that you're sitting there trying to get people hooked on. I mean, it's almost like Coke. They're just like cutting it with some baby powder or something. I need it to be
Wow.
like the I don't do Coke, by the way, for the people out there. I was just making a drug reference because I'm watching Narcos.
Uh-huh.
Um, not to mention, I've been watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Right. Well, wait,
I
before you go on that, let's finish this because I have more to say on this whole DC issue.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
I mean, I'm so disappointed in the show that I'm actually thinking I'm probably not going to watch Doom Patrol, which starts next month or February or something. I don't
Oh,
see why I would
wow.
be interested in Swamp Thing. Um,
This is all under the Berlanti umbrella.
yeah. I just feel like this is not what I signed up for. When I heard they were making a Teen Titans show, when I saw the trailers and I thought to myself, this looks a little dark, I was still willing to give it a chance because I like the Teen Titans as characters from the comics. But this is just not what I want in my superhero shows. And it's the same thing with the Daredevils and the Iron Fists and the Luke Cages. These are just not. This is not what I want.
Um,
So I think I'm cutting my losses,
I can
and I think I'm going
understand
to
that.
wait for the MCU Disney Plus shit.
Okay. Well, I'm not there yet.
Right.
Um, I was very disappointed, but I think they put enough on the paper for me to kind of give it a little bit more. But I am kind of starting to look at them kind of funny now because the last 3 or 4 episodes of the season were not enjoyable for me at all. And if they can somehow maybe start off strong, they can hook me again. But if it starts to waver, we could have a problem. Now, I haven't made a decision on Doom Patrol. I did fire up Runaways. They had
I
like a
thought you
five.
weren't going to do that.
Well, everybody's the critics and the reviewers were talking about like, oh, it's so strong, and so they had like a 5 minute, teaser for the show. So I put the 5 minutes on, and I'm back to being out. So if this was the 5 minutes that you gave me, it had the opposite effect. I was just like, I don't want to go down this road with these people. I don't care. So I'm out on Runaways. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, 11 episodes, Netflix, some sort of Buffy knockoff, but not even close to being what Buffy was.
Right.
It still is. I'm now probably on the sixth or seventh episode, and what I'm doing now is I'm wholeheartedly just going through and fast forwarding in 15-minute
How
intervals
can you do that? I don't understand.
because it's going through that same thing of like these first two or three episodes are interesting. Now all of a sudden these middle episodes are just like, she's in the school of dark arts and somebody's just like, I don't know, I should be able to buy 2% milk. And then she's just like this, I'm going to go fight for the rights for people to buy 2% milk, because if you can't buy 2% milk in this world, then what world are we living in? You know what I mean? Like whatever cause is out there, this bitch jumps up on it.
It's like Netflix gives these people who create these shows for them. It's like they turn in like a 2-hour script to Netflix executives, and the Netflix executives are like, "We love it. We're going to greenlight it. Now we just need you to take this 2-hour script and make it into 13 hours of television. I don't want any more on the writing. I don't want any more, complications. I just want you to stretch this shit out, paper fucking ass thin, because we got hours to fill." Okay, that's what it feels like. They do that with everything.
Yes, and that's a huge problem, because now when I look back on Buffy, I'm sitting there thinking each episode I felt like watching was building off, like I was learning something new and I was advancing. I feel as though I'm wasting my time with these stories. Like they're just sitting there going, "We've got a really big battle for you on episode 9 and maybe 10. It's going to carry over, but we've got to fill you up with some other stuff. So we're going to do like this is going to be an exorcism of the neighbor, and this one's going to be like a evil worm that bites the one girl's toe." And I'm just so now I'm just trying to make it to the end, and
Sort of.
just to
Why
see
don't
if
you
they
just
stick.
watch the last episode, like the whole last episode, instead
No,
of
that's
fast
actually an
forwarding
excellent suggestion. I may just do that.
and
I
see what
just
happens.
may do that. I'm
I don't
not
know.
missing anything by just cutting out 15 minutes here and there, though. I can tell you that.
You think now? What happens if something that happens in that 15 minutes becomes crucial in the last 5 minutes of the episodes of the season?
I
Then
don't
you will have
care.
to
I'm
go
not
back
going
and
to go.
rewatch it all.
No, I don't know. I'm not. In order for me to go back, they would have to sit there and like we killed off her aunt, her two aunts, and her guard and her boyfriend. They'd have to wipe them all out, like just kill them
Wow.
all, and then I might be like, "Ooh, I'm interested now."
Wow.
But otherwise, not going to happen. Not. All right. Well, let's move on. Box office mojo.
Sure.
Mojo Jojo. For the weekend of December 28th and 30th of 2018, Bill, that's where we're at here. The number one film, second week out, it's Aquaman. Pulled in another $52 million. It only dropped 22% from his opening week, which I think is very good.
That's
So
actually unheard of.
it's
But
unheard of.
yeah,
Usually it's like 50% sometimes most of the time.
60. Yeah,
Um,
especially with these blockbusters.
Absolutely. So right now it's $751 million.
They say
Jason
it's going to
Momoa,
cross $1 billion.
it's going to go what?
If they say it's going to make $1 billion,
Yeah, isn't it amazing?
who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Who would have saw that coming if I would have told you that Aquaman would make more than like a Justice League movie
It's
or a Batman
funny that these
Superman?
movies that you think are iffy probabilities is why I'm saying don't count Shazam out just yet.
Okay. Oh, all right.
Turn
Well,
around and
obviously been wrong before.
right.
Um, I don't know if I want to be wrong on Shazam. In all honesty, so.
Right.
But number two, a movie that you maybe consider thinking about, Mary Poppins Return, in its second week pulled in another 28 million, bringing its worldwide total to 174 million dollars.
Yeah, not feeling it. I think I'm going to skip.
Okay, all right.
Because it's just not that big of a hit. It's got the stench
Okay.
on it.
All right.
I smell failure.
The number three movie is Bumblebee, pulled in $20 million. in its second week here. And the interesting thing about Bumblebee here is that it cost $135 million to make. So far, it's made 67 million domestically and 90 million overseas, bringing its grand total to 157 million dollars. It's getting rave reviews by the critics. Um, I
But
don't
it
know if
hasn't
it's
made
made
quite
its
that
money
much
just yet.
money.
Yeah, it's not there yet.
Hmm,
But
interesting.
do you want to see the movie?
No, not really.
Okay.
Do you?
Even if it comes on video, anything like that?
Yeah, no. I mean, they say it's a prequel, so it doesn't necessarily require that you have seen any of the other Transformers movies to see it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so it takes place in like the 80s. I don't know. Burn me once, though, and I'm not likely to go back to your franchise for the sequels. Ask Harry Potter.
There you go. Number four movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, in its third week, brought in $18 million. It's actually increasing the percentage of money it's making because, I think probably word of mouth. But it brings its grand total worldwide to $213 million on a budget of 90 million.
Wait, what movie is this?
Spider-Verse.
Okay.
So it's made $104 million in America and $109 million overseas.
That's like,
So
I mean, I don't know how most animated movies do, but it doesn't seem like a lot to me.
no, it doesn't. But I don't know what the expectation is for the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. To be quite
Well, the
honest.
expectation is they make enough to make a sequel, which is done. So I guess
Yeah,
that all the other revenue just
yeah.
frosting.
Like I would expect something like Incredibles. Like if Incredibles only made this money, I would say, well, that seems kind of disappointing. But
Right.
Spider-Verse, the only reason why I'm even on this tip here is because you made me go see it because I hadn't even watched the trailer of Spider-Verse. That's how,
Right.
and I watch the trailers of a lot of things, but I'm just like, this just seems like this might just be, you know, something.
But word of mouth, I mean, the critics are raving about this movie. I mean, I've heard Twitter tell me that this is the best Spider-Man movie ever, multiple times. I've read nothing but love for this movie on my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
So,
And the percentage of it seems to be increasing. It's not going down. Like it's only going to keep making more
so that
money.
must be the word of mouth because, that doesn't usually happen.
The number five movie, costing $50 million to make, is The Mule. Pulled in $12 million in its third week, bringing its total to $61 million. The Clint Eastwood, um, carrying around drugs for the cartel movie. Um, Coming in its opening week, number six and number seven. Number six, Vice, with $7 million, beating out Holmes and Watson, also making $7 million.
Hmm.
The only difference is that Holmes and Watson cost $42 million, and yeah,
I've heard that people are so angry about how bad that movie is that they're walking out. It has a 7% freshness rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and I've just heard horrible, horrible things about it. Like it's really awful. But I don't know because I haven't seen it. So
yeah. So who's the director? Ian Cohen. Technically, I guess you want to know who's the writer because
Ethan
uh,
Coen, is that one of the Coen brothers?
no, this guy
Okay.
did Get Hard. That was with the Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell movie, actually.
Okay.
So this appears to be his wheelhouse. Um, he better start doing some sort of Bloomhouse rehabilitation.
Wow.
I don't think there's anything else of note. There's some other movies, Destroyer, but they're too further down on the list. And that's it. That's how we're winding it. We're ending the year with Aquaman being on top.
So let me just really quickly review our 2019 film schedule then, since it's the first day of the year and we've got lots of movies to see this year. Glass
Okay.
on January 18th, Captain Marvel on March 8th, Shazam on April 5th. We got two in April. Then Avengers Endgame on the 25th. Then we got a break until June for Dark Phoenix. which I know you can't wait for. I know you've got a Dark Phoenix T-shirt over there in your closet. Um, then July 5th, Spider-Man: Far From Home, and then we have like a 6-month break until Star Wars in December. So all of our movies are like front loaded to the first
They're
half of
front
the year
loaded.
until December.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Okay.
but there's quite a bit in 2019 to look forward to. So,
I will be adding these movies to my calendar when I get to work.
cool.
Um, oh, that reminds me right there. I think also Nadia mentioned that she saw the Mogwai movie. You
Oh
read
yeah,
her
yeah, yeah.
review. I'm still watching a little bit. I'm not sure why this movie had to be made. Um, it's not necessarily that it's bad, but it's just kind of like the retelling of the same story that John Favreau, who's doing the Lion Book, already did.
Right.
Um, except it's just Andy Serkis who's using some techniques that he's learned from Peter Jackson. It's not that original. Um, I've actually stopped watching it. I've got probably about another 20 minutes to go.
You only have
I,
20 minutes. Why stop for 20 minutes? Why don't you just push through?
yeah, because it's just kind of like lost me. You know, it just uh,
Meanwhile, that movie probably cost at least 70 or 80 million dollars, maybe more. Um, and you can't even give it the respect of watching the last 20 minutes, even though it's
yeah,
pumped right into your TV.
yeah, yeah. Because I have so many other options. So many other
That's
options.
the problem. This is the problem. People are getting spoiled.
Oh, so very spoiled. Okay. All right, Bill. Well, that's our first show for 2019. I'm
Yeah.
going to do some splicing. I'm going to upload it. And I think I'm going to call it Netflix Rules the World.
Well, it's probably not far from the truth. Shouldn't we be buying some kind of stock in this company by now?
Yeah, I think we say that all the time.
Yeah.
We're not, by the time we buy the stock, it's probably going to be out of our wheelhouse. Maybe we should
Right.
buy stock in Shutter. You like Shutter?
Uh, not necessarily. I feel like it's a waste of my money.
Is your husband still using Shutter or is he not using Shutter or did you
No,
stop?
he doesn't use it because he can't figure out how to operate it. So,
That's so sad.
yeah.
That's so damn sad.
Tell me about it.
Okay. All right. What are you going to do this evening?
We're gonna watch Daredevil and Iron Fist because that's all we have left on our queue. So,
Don't you have some winter shows coming up? Is there anything new that's jumping out?
Gotham starts in 2 or 3 days, I think. Finally, the
Oh,
final
that's good
season of
for you.
Gotham. Um, and I think that's the only thing that's starting mid-season for us. How about you?
Oof. Oh, there's lots of shows. I think you know Luther.
Yeah.
Uh, it's on the BBC One, but I don't get that on the PlayStation View. I'm a big fan of
You don't get
either.
BBC America?
Is BBC One and BBC America the same thing?
No, but BBC America is the American version of BBC One. So a lot of times the shows from BBC One will migrate to BBC America.
Okay, well, I don't appear to have Luther on my PlayStation View, so
Okay.
that's very disappointing. But that's a
Well, that
show.
doesn't mean you won't get it. It's just not coming out right now. It'll probably come out later on.
Oh no, I have a lot of things to try to get set up for, like my movies, to try to catch up on. Um, reorder my queue because I haven't done that in a while because of the holidays. Right now, I have Assassination Nation, Equalizer 2 upstairs, and um, White Boy Rick. I
Right.
still have to watch Mission Impossible Fallout.
Why in the hell haven't you watched that yet? You've had that disc for like weeks.
Oh, I haven't had that disc for weeks.
Oh.
It's actually been out there where people like I can,
So it's been so this company that you're paying money to have them ship the discs to you can't figure out a way to buy enough discs to get everybody, so it's like you have to wait in some kind of library queue to get it.
yes,
Some nonsense.
that's exactly it.
That's nonsense.
Well, the thing about it is Mission Impossible Fallout is also 2 hours and 27 minutes. So
Yeah, but it's you. Oh wait, you've already seen it though, haven't you?
no, no,
I
no,
thought you took your nephew to see that,
no. You gave it as a suggestion we should see it when he came up.
but
So
you didn't go.
we did not go.
Well, I'm
Not because we
surprised that
didn't.
you're not like foaming at the mouth to get to that movie because you love that trailer.
Well, I think if anything else, it's kind of like, oh, there's just, you know what? I know I'm going to get to it at one point. That's where I'm going. And the thing about it, when I get excited, like let's just throw in the Predator, like this should be somewhat entertaining, and then within the first 5 minutes, I'm annoyed. I just sit there and go, this is what I got my Chipotle for, to watch some stupid ass movie. That's what I was saying as I was watching The Predator. And
I
they
would
were planning
just
on ending the movie with some sort of scene with Sigourney Weaver, like with Ripley. That was supposed to be like one of the endings. Um,
in the
and but
Predator, right? But did she refuse or something?
I don't know if she refused, but I think it was just kind of like, this is going to be too confusing. How does this happen? And they decided that they weren't going to do that. You know, they were thinking maybe just opening up a casket and just having the name Ripley on some sort of like bodysuit to try to combine the worlds yet again. Um, but they didn't. And how much did
Okay.
this movie make? Anyway, all
But
right, Bill.
for Mission Impossible Fallout, I mean, I mean, Henry Cavill's in it. I could just turn the volume off and just watch the scenery in the background for 2 hours
No,
almost.
he is badass in that. He looks badass in that film. So,
Yeah, that's why I would watch it for 2 hours without sound.
okay, Bill. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All right. Well, to all our fans out there, we're glad that you were with us in 2018, and we're looking forward to you being with us in 2019, whether you're here
Hopefully,
in Ohio or here in Florida or in Texas. Either way, I'm glad that you're with us and you will be along for the ride.
cheerio.
Okay, peace out, our friends. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye.